Heidi, Part 21. A letter was sent to Mr. Seaman, telling him that the excitement might have serious effect on his daughter's delicate condition. This brought Mr. Seaman, going to his daughter's room after his arrival. He was overjoyed to see her well. Clara was also delighted to see her father. "What new tricks have the ghosts played? Please call Sebastian. I want to speak to him alone." Mr. Seaman needed to know the truth. "Sebastian, go at once to my old friend, Dr. Classen, and tell him to come to me at 9 o'clock tonight. Tell him that I came from Paris especially to consult him, and that I want him to sit up all night with me. Do you understand me, Sebastian?" "Yes, indeed. I shall do as you say, Mr. Seaman." Mr. Seaman then went up to Clara's room to comfort her. At 9 o'clock the doctor arrived. When he saw his friend he laughed aloud and said, "Well, you look pretty healthy for one who needs to be watched all night." "Have patience, my old friend," replied Mr. Seaman. "I'm afraid the person we have to sit up for we must catch." "What do you mean?" "There seems to be a ghost in this house. My house is haunted." When the doctor left, Mr. Seaman continued, "Miss Mayer is convinced that a ghost is wandering about at night." Mr. Seaman said this was either a bad joke a servant was playing, or it was a thief. The two men sat down, passing their time by chatting. Everything was quiet. Not a sound came from the street. Suddenly the doctor raised his finger. "Shh, Seaman. Do you hear something?" While they both listened, the key turned, and the front door flew open. "Are you afraid?" said the doctor. "Better be cautious," whispered Mr. Seaman. The doctor followed with the light, and they went into the hall. There stood a white, ghost-like form. "Who is there?" shouted the doctor, approaching the figure. There stood Heidi, with bare feet, in her white nightgown, looking bewildered. She was shaking with fear, while the two men were looking at her in amazement. "Seaman, this seems to be your little ghost," said the doctor. Mr. Seaman asked, "What did you want? Why have you come here?" Pale from fright, Heidi said, "I don't know." The doctor spoke. "Seaman, please sit down here while I'll take her to bed." He led the trembling child up the stairs. "Don't be afraid. Everything's all right." When they arrived in Heidi's room, the doctor put the little girl to bed, covering her up carefully. He waited till Heidi had calmed down and had stopped trembling. Then taking her hand in his, he said kindly, "Now everything is all right. Tell me where you wanted to go."